Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Yeah. We'll do some broadcasting with our guy, Mike McFeely. When broad, we emphasize that because we're going to go everywhere. We normally do in the half hour that we get to spend together. I have a list, but
congratulations to Will Borgen for entering
How about that?
entering the Izzo income bracket over in Moorhead.
Yes.
Good job.
Yes. That's what we do there.
I'm still trying to get there, Will. I may not get there, but congratulations to you for getting into the Izzo bracket.
Hey, I'm sure you saw some of the clips on Sunday out of your second favorite city in the United States in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Correct.
Where the Eagle fans were excited, one would say, after going back to the Super Bowl. Some hanging from light fixtures.
When the game ended, my lovely wife said, "Hope they greased up the light poles in Philadelphia." I just tipped my cap and said, "God, this is why I married you, dear. This is why I asked you to marry me, and this is why I was so happy you said yes, because you just
gets it."
And by the way, I can't repeat the words she said last night when the Houston Rockets beat the Celtics at the buzzer in Boston. I cannot say what she said when that happened.
Well, first off, I'm glad you got the league pass so you can watch the games.
Yes,
you took the dive on that one.
Yeah, it's $100.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Houston's all right, though. It's not that the Rockets are bad.
No, correct. No,
the Rockets are, we just saw they're second in the West.
Nobody cares about NBA basketball who's watching this program right now.
Some.
But, yes, the Rockets are like, oh. So, anyway.
Didn't go over well, huh?
No. Nope. My ears are still, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but there's a little bit of sunburn on the ears from the vitriol being spewed around the McFeely house in North Moorhead.
I wanted to ask you a couple things here because, it was popular on social media and on some broadcasts over the weekend about being Chiefs out. And I thought it was really ironic for fans around here to say anything about that, considering their favorite football team is won 10 championships.
I was on the Bison 1660 noon show last week, and I was asked about that by either Sam or Andy. And I said, whoa, wait a second here. Wait a second. So I have a couple of Bison guys who have a largely Bison fan base listening to them, and you're complaining about the Chiefs being like everybody's sick of them and they're sick of the dynasty? I mean, really? Is this am I in the twilight zone right now? Is Rod Serling around here somewhere? Because I think it's rather not only ironic, but just comically hilarious that Bison fans would be going, "Oh, I'm sick of the Chiefs because they win all the time." Yeah, boy, I can see why.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Hate to see a team win all the time in a football league and win championships year after year after year. I can't see how people would get sick of that.
It's going to be, hey, they played 2 years ago. It was a dynamite game. I expect we're going to have another one.
No, I love it. It's more Taylor Swift, the better. just because, I don't know if I can say this word, it pisses off all the blockhead dude bros who get all insecure in their own manhood and are insecure in their football knowledge. So they think it has to be, stop showing Taylor Swift. Show the football. Yeah. No, show Taylor Swift because she's the world's most famous celebrity and she's dating the tight end for the Chiefs, and it's fantastic. Yeah. And it brings new people into the game.
Certainly did.
And it brings young women into the game. And if you're so insecure with your manhood that you don't want a 22-year-old woman watching football, then you're the loser, not Taylor Swift.
I want to go to a column you wrote on Sunday after the Bison doubleheader, which, by the way, we can still take credit for 5,000 there and doing a one-ticket doubleheader. We're going to do that a year later. I'm okay with that.
All right.
I did not. No, you can't. We were the guys.
We took credit last year,
we can still
but I said this year, fine. They did it on their own because
the doubleheader we can take credit for.
Yes, that we'll take credit for because we were ripping them.
On that one.
Yes, so I'll take credit for that.
Yeah,
but I'll give credit to North Dakota
no
State.
Doubt. Yep,
because they promoted, they marketed, they got the word out, and it was UND, so that helps. But as somebody told me last night, they go, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, that's right.
That you're going to get a bigger crowd because you're going to have more UND fans, but the Bison men's team is good.
Yes.
I mean, if you're complaining about all the stuff that fans have complained about over the years, which is it's so boring. Richmond plays a boring style. Oh, they're below 500. None of that holds.
Nope.
So now you're just a bunch of wieners. Now you're just a bunch of schmoes because Richmond's got them. Well, he doesn't have them.
No, he does not.
Dave is like this in the corner.
Convulsing.
Yep.
They shot 48 threes.
It was the strangest thing I saw in the second half. He was actually on the sidelines in the fetal position, Dave Richmond, sucking his thumb when they were firing up a bunch of threes. He's like,
48 of 58.
Striggy and those guys. They're just like, Dave, look away, look away.
Hey, they're going in. Yep. They're okay.
Don't look, Dave.
But you wrote, and we've been down to Sioux Falls the last couple of years. They have an MC during timeouts or during breaks because the crowd was there, but I don't know how into it they were. I take my headset off from time to time, and I didn't get the over crazy loudness.
No,
on
and I was in the seats. I took the day off from work, and my wife and I went to the doubleheader just as that's my date nights for my wife. I take her to basketball games, and she loves it. By the way, she loves it, which is again why I'm so happy she said yes. But it wasn't like crazy. I expected later in the game, especially when it was NDSU had multiple chances to stretch out their lead. They could not do that. Whatever. But when some of the UND players were at the free throw line in the final 5 minutes, it was like looking around, going, I don't know. Could somebody cheer here?
Yeah, right. Maybe.
And my point of Sunday's column was, again, kudos to North Dakota State for getting a big crowd. Kudos to the crowd for showing up. And I took a lap or two around the concourse upstairs, bought a beverage and was visiting with some people. And by the way, people are still talking about the FCS football championship. And I had 3 people ask me, when we go on FBS. So just heads up to everybody. It's not just Dom and I pushing for this. It's also the fans want this as well. But there was a buzz on the upper concourse. It was fun. There's people hanging out. They have tables up there now. They have railings up there. They've done a good job of in the bigger games. That's kind of a place to be now. Congregate and have a bush latte or whatever, and BS about football or basketball or the weather or whatever. So they've made that into a good thing, and it felt like an event on Saturday as opposed to just a game or games. But there's always a but with me. I'm never happy about anything. If you're going to go to the games, it's okay to cheer.
To be vocal, be loud.
You're not going to embarrass yourselves. Nobody cares that you're cheering. Nobody cares that you stand up.
It's expected.
And by the way, if you stand up and somebody says sit down, turn around and say shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
McFeely's over there on the south baseline with his wife. Go ask I mean, just shut up, stand up, cheer. It's it's entertainment.
Right, exactly.
It's sports. It's supposed to be fun.
Correct.
And it was fun.
It was.
And it was a good ball game. And UND found the wherewithal to play defense. And North Dakota State responded by shooting 48 3-pointers. And it was a close game until the end. And the women's game
was right down to the wire.
It was a good ball game and 2 pretty evenly matched teams that both have strengths and both have a couple of flaws that you could see at the game. Yep. But it was a close game at the end. And even that game was like, hello.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say we, I mean the collective we as a community have been waiting 20 plus years for the women's basketball team to be good again.
Yep.
And so they're okay.
Yep.
I don't know if they have enough to beat South Dakota State. I don't know if they have enough to get to the NCAA tournament for the first time in Division I, but they're good. They're in second. They have 1 loss.
Correct.
In the Summit League. They're in second place. I think I said it last week. I think they're the second best team in the Summit League. And the standings bear it out for now. Yep. So what are you waiting for?
Right.
It's okay to cheer.
And Thursday night, the Bison men are playing South Dakota State.
Yes.
That's the game. If you want to be loud, it's the Jackrabbits.
And I good. I was, again, in a text exchange with somebody yesterday. They're asking me, they were not at the games on Saturday. They said, so was it like quiet? And I said, yeah, it kind of was.
Down the stretch.
And they said, so what do you attribute that? And a couple of my thoughts were, I know it's UND and that's the in-state rival, but I still don't think that Bison fans view UND as like a huge rival. They just don't. For UND, it
is.
All the NDSU games are the biggest things in the world. For NDSU fans in football and basketball, they're not the biggest games in the world anymore.
And you've seen it with football, it bears out, obviously, with South Dakota State.
South Dakota State, even in basketball, is the bigger rival. And, we saw games in the past where Oral Roberts and Paul Mills came to town, and nobody liked Paul Mills, including every other coach in the Summit League.
Say the coaches in the Summit, too.
Including, or the media in the Summit League, by the way, except for the Oral Roberts guy on radio. But I think Oral Roberts brought out the passion in Bison fans because they were the best team at that time, or before they went on that little run, they were the NDSU was battling them for a spot at the top of the league, and Mills was an unlikable guy, and there was almost a fight and all that.
Right,
I mean,
attitude.
They're just great stuff.
Yes.
And back early in the Division I days, we always talked about
Oakland,
Greg
totally.
Campy and Oakland, and just how exciting those games were. I don't know that the UND has reached those levels of dislike yet, and part of it's because NDSU wins all the time.
Right, they haven't lost to them.
They've lost to them once in football,
and
the women's team has won like once in the last 10 years or
think,
something like that. I don't know the
Yeah.
exact. And the men's team is what it is. UND just hasn't been very consistently good.
Let's break. We come back. We'll take a look into the standings. As we mentioned, it's a large week for Dave Richmond's team. South Dakota State coming Thursday, a road trip to St. Paul with St. Thomas coming up on Sunday. We'll do that when we roll out of this first hour of Hot Mic after this. All right, back here with our guy Mike McFeely. Email comes in. This is right to, I think, what you were just talking about before we went to break on this. Dom, I like the column by Mike on crowd noise, but the games were not exciting in the sense that fans just felt like the Bison were going to win. Fans around me felt that way. That kind of goes to...
I didn't. I guess I didn't feel...
The Bison were going to win?
I didn't think it was automatic. And I think we talked on this program last week that we thought the women's game was going to be pretty entertaining regardless, because the Bison women are good, but they have some flaws in the fact that they just don't have I don't think a go-to offensive player that can, beat you off the dribble and get to the basket and want to take that big shot late in the game.
And that's exactly what happened.
Right. And so the men's game I thought was going to be a bigger spread. Mm-hmm. And it could have been if NDSU would have shot its percentage, I think NDSU shot 33% or something from three. If it shoots 40%, NDSU wins by 15 or 16 or 7. If it makes a few free throws, it wins by. But I never felt that either game was ever
slam dunk.
Slam dunk.
As we forgive the pun on that. So now we're nearing the halfway mark of the conference race. We're going to have Kai and Brown on later. Omaha's red hot, 7-0. They've already come up here and won. They beat the Jackrabbits. They beat St. Thomas.
They beat everybody.
Obviously, we know what they get to host the Bison on the back end of this. St. Thomas sits at 6-1. We know they get to host the Bison coming up on Sunday. They came to Fargo and won. This is a monster week, Michael, for what the Bison have in front of them.
Next 2 weekends are huge for NDSU, for the men. It's the gauntlet.
For the Summit League.
Now that the Missouri Valley Football Conference no longer has a gauntlet, it's 3 teams and everybody else and a bunch of Division II schools at the bottom, especially. This is a huge gauntlet for North Dakota State. If you have the Jackrabbits, got to play at Omaha, got to play at Kansas City, and then obviously after the Jacks, they have to play at St. Thomas. That's a huge 4 games that could determine a lot of things for NDSU in terms of the seeding going to the Summit League tournament.
You look at this, how many teams in your mind? Granted, St. Thomas can win the tournament, but can't go to it. So 4?
There's 4 teams that can win the tournament at this point.
The top 4 in your mind?
South Dakota, as we've said before,
defense is not a great thing for them.
I played better defense at the YMCA at noon ball when I was 35 years old. South Dakota has no interest. None. The Bison game.
And they gave up 90 to the Jacks on Saturday.
More power to NDSU for taking it to the Coyotes down. But I watched that game. I'm like, are you even trying? It was just layup after layup. I'm like, what are you doing? And then on the reverse end, then it was one pass, and this baby's going up. Again, just like the YMCA. I played no defense, and if somebody passed me the ball, It wasn't coming out of the black hole. It was not. It was into the black hole, never coming out again, and it was going up. Didn't matter how. I mean, it was just like, wow.
You know what? If that's the way you want to get kids to come to your team, that's a great recruiting strategy. I don't know how many games you're going to win.
Not going to win many games.
You're going to win a lot that way.
Yeah, but I mean,
wow.
North Dakota State, if they could go 3-1, if somehow they go 4-0 during the stretch, that'd be like, well, okay, then they're the favorites.
Yep.
If they go 3-1, you go, that's really good. 2-2, you go, well, it's okay.
Right.
If they go 1-3 or 0-4, then you go, well, they're really in trouble.
But as you wrote, and we talked about it yesterday, since that loss to Samford right before Thanksgiving, where they should have won
that
was
a bad loss.
They've won 13 of 15 games, minus the 2 they lost at home to open up conference play, which put them in a big hole. Yep. I mean, you can't – if you drop 1 at home, you can probably go through it. Lose 2 at home is really hard.
That's what I keep looking at the standings and go, gosh, if they could have just kind of got things together for one of those games at home and won one of them, then they'd be just perfectly positioned right now, because it's going to happen. You're going to drop a game. But to lose both of those and just not play well and just sort of, just that's going to hurt them long-term.
And you pointed this out, and it's for people to know, again, when we get to Sioux Falls, if St. Thomas ends up being in that championship game and if they win the league in the regular season, which is still a possibility. Now, they got to beat Omaha now because they don't have the tiebreaker on it.
I know, Omaha, I've watched a couple of they're really playing
good.
well.
They're good.
I mean, and they're really playing together, and they know what they're doing.
They're experienced, too.
They're experienced. They're having fun. All the things these coaches say in their cliches, it's all true for Omaha right now. And Markel Sutton is really good. And Lance Waddles, we know what he did up here in Fargo. Sorry, Dave Richmond, for bringing that up again. But they have a nice team they've put together, and they are playing together well. I still don't think they're going to go undefeated. They're not going to go undefeated.
Yeah, I don't have the feel of like the Oral Roberts or Jacks teams a couple years ago.
I still think they could lose 2 or 3 games. And so if that's going to be the case, it's a long season. So it's, it just seems unlikely they're going to go unbeaten. So NDSU maybe has to be one of those teams that puts a loss on them.
Yeah. And if you're in that first or second spot and St. Thomas is in there, then you go as the representative of the Summit League to March Madness. That's NDSU's goal. Obviously, they want to win it, but to somehow be in that proximity, if St. Thomas ends up being in the title game, that's what you want to be.
St. Thomas lost a game, and then they kind of had to scramble to beat Kansas City. Yeah. And so maybe
on
there's
the road there.
On the road, that's, Kansas City is a weird place.
That game on Sunday will be awfully good. The Bison go down there to St. Paul. That's going to be
good.
As we know, we at that game. Bison did not play well in that game against St. Thomas out of the Christmas break. They hadn't played in 9 days, and St. Thomas.
No, and it was a weird, and
St. Thomas made shots, man.
And they're well coached. Yep. And they did have a couple of goofy, off balance, late shot clock threes go in, and that happens. But if NDSU can shoot its percentage from threes, they're going to win a lot of these games.
Last email in for Mike. Dommy S. Mike, get any love for the Gophers who've won 3 in a row? Got Michigan State tonight. Ben Johnson's team has won a couple in a row here.
And they beat Oregon
the other night.
Weekend. Whatever. I mean, I can't. I don't know how you go from 0 to 60 and then maintain it for the rest of the year. And they were just awful.
Good. Yeah.
So
Michigan State's not great though. They can maybe get this one.
Yeah, guys that coaches them.
That Izzo guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Like many Izzos, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Another one comes in. Mike, Pac-12 is in negotiations with Texas State for a week, but there are renewed talks with UNLV, a new opening for NDSU. Have you heard any of that?
John Canzano, independent columnist out from the Oregon area. He's pretty well connected. He still thinks that that UNLV does not want to be in the Mountain West long term, despite the fact that
they signed
and there's still litigation.
Yes.
So some of that money that's been promised to UNLV and Air Force might not be going to them because the Mountain West might not get it.
Might not win the might not win that lawsuit.
Right. And so John says that UNLV wants to be in the Big Ten, but he said, well, everybody wants to be in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Right. I mean,
correct. So they can say that. It's like it's like us saying, we want to, not that we want to because we're married, but we want to date, whomever. It just like a guy, like an average guy. I'm trying to not get myself in trouble here. I'm not saying
you spoke so glowingly of earlier.
I'm not saying this properly. What I'm trying to say is, imagine just an average everyday guy, generic, not either of us, just a generic average everyday guy wanting to date Sydney Sweeney or something. Okay, how's that?
Got it. That was good.
Did I leap over the paint?
You're sweating profusely over here.
Does this go out in the internet? Do people?
People tell me they watch.
Okay.
Is there any chance of, from what you've read and the sources you have, that this Texas State, because we've heard that for a while.
And John addressed that specifically, and he said he just doesn't see Texas State being
that's a mover or a shaker
in the
there.
footprint, and they really haven't been all that great in football, although they've been better the last couple of years under our guy G.J. Kinney.
But again, we know football performance means nothing,
right?
In all of
and
this.
it's Texas,
yeah.
And so, but they already have. But the Mountain West, whatever.
UNLV is always the one to me.
I expect North Dakota State to be left out again for the rest of my life. Yes. But I'm telling you, again, there's a handful of people, two, three.
I had the same experience too.
One guy stopped me by the line where I was stopping in line to get a bottle of water. I was not working, remember?
Yes.
And he grabbed my shoulder and said, "When are we going FBS?" I said, "What's stopping us?"
Yep.
And I said, "Not me."
Yep.
I said, "I'm trying."
Yep.
He said, "I know," but he goes, "We gotta get out of FCS." I said, "Yes, I agree." So it's on the minds of not just us anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely on fans. Great to see you, bud. Thanks for coming by. Mike McFeely joining us each and every Tuesday at 9:30. We'll break. We come back. You'll meet one of the rising stars in the area on the hoop scene. He just got an offer from the Bison. Carter Evanson from West Fargo Horace. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns right after this.